What's going on, folks? Your boy again, Dr. Sean Thomas, back in the building with another episode of the Be More Today show. We are back in the building, folks. And again, celebrating the month of October with awesome physical therapists for the whole month of October, National PT Month. It's been a pleasure, my pleasure, really, showcasing the therapists from my company, Jag-One Physical Therapy, the best PT place in the land. You already know about it. And we've been doing a great job just showing you how vast and amazing our profession can be. But before I show you our next guest, know that the Be More Today show is continuing to grow. We are cruising, moving, and grooving on all platforms with my book, which is on Amazon, our podcast on all major podcast platforms, and of course, our more merch store with our Be More Today sweaters and hats and visors and swag. Go out there and get what you have to get for the fall season. And I appreciate all of you following on YouTube. Again, we are now in 63 countries, over 28,000 downloads. It is all thanks to your love and support that this show continues to grow now in its third season. So thank you for your support. It does not go unnoticed. My quote for today is simple as always. There will always be rocks on the road ahead of us. They will be stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It all depends on how you use them. By Nietzsche. Listen, folks, we talked all year about challenges, overcoming obstacles. I've talked to you about various marathons and races that I did this year and things that I knew were going to propel me forward. And we've done lots of things, Project 40, Project 40 more, so many things this year just to make sure that you know how to stay fit and focused. But even with all those things, right? There are times when you're going to see in life where things come in your way. No matter how perfect you think you're doing, no matter how great you try to plan things in your life, you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have things that get in the way of your progress. And those things can either be stumbling blocks or they can be stepping stones. Now, we know stumbling blocks, they trip us up and we fall down and we have a hard time getting back up. Or those stepping stones are the things that can propel us to the next level. And whether you're talking about an injury, whether you're talking about a mishap, a professional issue, whatever those things may be, it's how we look at the situation, because a stepping stone and a stumbling block are the same thing. Right? No matter how you may see it, that determines the difference. But that same thing, that obstacle, is either a stumbling block or a stepping stone. And it's going to be based on how you respond to it to see how you're going to come out of it on the other end. And I just hope for this week, you take some time and think about the things that you're seeing in your life, the things that are challenging you this week, and how you want to respond to them differently. Because each of us is going to have a roadblock or a challenge or an issue that we have to go through. And it's going to be up to you to decide how you want to see the situation. Will it be a stumbling block for you that trips you up, that knocks you down, that makes you not want to push forward, or a stepping stone to get you to the next level? So my guest on the show today is the embodiment of that. He is a good longtime friend of mine. He, like me, has had experiences in terms of injuries that have gotten him to be able to push him forward, and he's used those obstacles to get him to the next level as stepping stones to propel him forward. He is my boy. We played basketball together. We went to Downstate together, our famous and infamous grad school. And his name is Dr. Craig Menezes. Now, Craig Menezes graduated from the University of Stony Brook in 2010, majoring in health science with a concentration in disability studies. Craig began his pursuit in physical therapy after numerous injuries, including 3 ACL reconstructions, all of which when he was a patient at the company Jag-One Physical Therapy. Craig graduated from SUNY Downstate Medical Center in 2014, my alma mater. He's also been a part of the Jag-One family since 2014 and has not looked back, not once. Craig has spent the majority of his years as a clinician in leadership and has progressed from staff therapist to clinical director and his current position as the area director of Brooklyn South, the area that I work in as well. One of the main things Craig enjoys about Jag-One Physical Therapy is the ability to give back to the community. Craig grew up in nearby Canarsie, Brooklyn. So being able to give back to that community is very special to him, and it makes it a priority for him as he treats every single day. He also worked within the community, giving back to places such as Brooklyn Renegades, a local football team in the area. And Craig truly loves treating varying orthopedic conditions, but truly excels in the treatment of sports-related injuries and return to sport. Outside of work, Craig enjoys basketball, football, and occasionally attends New York Knicks games. Let's go Knicks this season. We'll see what's going on. during the basketball season as well. He's a longtime fan, as am I. He also enjoys spending time with his family, which includes his wife, his son, and daughter on the way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my boy and the man with the master plan, Dr. Craig Menezes. Craig, what is going on?
My guy, Dr. Thomas. It is first and foremost a pleasure to be here on this stage with you. Thank you so much for considering me for National Physical Therapy Month and getting me on this podcast with you. I truly appreciate it.
Brody, it's my honor. You and I go way back. I mean, we worked in the same office together at Georgetown, went to the same school at Downstate. We played basketball together. We've done so many things together collectively for our community. And now that we both are continuing to grow in the company and do different things in different areas, it's always great to connect with you any way that I can, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person. It's good to see you, man. We do everything together, from dinners to everything else. So, I love you and appreciate you so much. I'm glad to have you on the show today. Really appreciate it.
That is true. Thank you, my brother. I love you too, my brother.
Sir.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. So listen, we've been through everything, right? We went to Downstate. Right. Now they call Downstate the boot camp of PT schools in Brooklyn. For those students who've been coming out of Downstate or interns or even aides who are looking at Downstate, it's a great school, great program. Dr. Katz is over there. We've learned so much from her and continue to connect with her. I mean, you and I have done so many things in terms of just mentoring the next generation of therapists, from going there and speaking with them to having calls with current doctors who are there. It's been great connecting with Downstate still. And I know for you, community is a big thing. I'm not from Brooklyn, although I've been here since 2007. Brooklyn's not my home, but Brooklyn is really your home. I mean, especially when it comes to South Brooklyn, and you've made so many connections with friends and family and community. You have made this really a part of who you are as a person and as your profession. So I'm curious, Craig, I've asked everybody on the show who has been a therapist how they got into this thing. And I know you got injured. I'm curious about the 3 ACLs and how that sparked your journey to be a physical therapist.
Yes. So all of that, of which is true, a lot of ACL injuries. First one when I was 17, 3 ACL surgeries between 2005 and 2015. So quite a few in the mix. The first 2 were prior to PT school. The other one was once I became a PT. And really just being able to watch myself originally start on crutches, a brace where my leg is locked and I can't really walk and needing assistance, to being able to get back on the court and play basketball again, to me was like the most amazing thing in the world. So once I was able to see that, it automatically mixed with my interest with sports that pretty much made me say, you know what, maybe this is the field for me. What many may not know is I actually started as a computer science major when I got into Stony Brook in 2010. I took a computer science class, the 101 class, the beginner's class, and you had to turn a little mouse into a robot with putting different pieces in it to electronically control it. Definitely the worst experience of my life. And that was the defining moment for me that led me to switch gears and made me to start looking into physical therapy, still playing sports, mixed with my injuries. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to have to refocus myself here while I just started school so I don't get too far along and then I have to redo courses. And that's really what kind of led me into the physical therapy realm, mixed with a physical therapist of ours and a longtime friend of ours, Anthony DeSena, who played a huge role in my rehab at the time, as well as guiding me towards the field with discussions with him back in 2005 and 2008. And that's really what inspired me to continue to appreciate the field as well as pursue it further.
Wow. I didn't realize Anthony DeSena was so integral in your life. I mean, we mutual friend of ours, clearly, and shout out to Anthony. He's been a great mentor for me as well in various capacities, but I didn't realize that he was connected to you in terms of therapy. I mean, it's just amazing how full circle things can really come when you talk about people that we know and how they really can plant a seed that you never know how it's going to germinate. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Also fellow downstate grad, so you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Downstate all day. You know exactly how that goes. So listen, so you went through that, and I always think, and we talked about this on the show as well, you know, as clinicians, when you've already gone through an injury or you've already gone through something like that, you know exactly what it feels like. You know exactly how it feels. You know the sadness and the emotional components that come with the injury. You know the pain and progress that goes to do therapy the right way and even sometimes the wrong way, right? And then you see the progress on the other end. So it helps you as a clinician as you continue to inspire those who are coming after you. What has the road like for you now? You've been a patient, you've been a therapist, you've been a director. Now you're moving on to like more managerial roles in terms of higher management. How has that road been like for you, especially since you've done it all in the same community, at the same company? What's that road been like for you?
So the role change at times has been a little tough in the beginning because in many instances, a lot of people look at change negatively. For some reason, the word change is not necessarily always looked at positively because people always think, well, what's going to happen? What's next? What's this? What's that? So for me, the big thing here is change. And once you can kind of get in there and show people what you're able to do, as well as what type of work ethic you have, it becomes very contagious. And things begin to start to shape up, and they realize that this positivity that you're bringing is good change, that not all change is bad. But one of the things that I did enjoy a lot about this growth in the last 8 years, from staff therapist to clinical director to area director, is just the ability to learn from others, as well as being inspired by others. And I learned how to become a good leader during these times, all with the same company. And one of the things that I felt was important for me and that I did receive was a lot of mentorship in different areas as I was growing. Our current regional manager, Giovanni Materia, he has been phenomenal in my growth. Rich Bodian, from the beginning of time when we worked together at Ralph Avenue, he taught me so much. And there's a lot of things that I take from all these gentlemen along the way that I never forget. And one of the big things was bedside manner. And you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about the ACLs and when other patients come in with similar injuries, that empathy kind of factor. And this is what I try to remember as I grow. And as I continue to grow in different roles, although more managerial, more supervisory, I don't like to forget where I came from. And to me, I think that's the big thing. Sometimes people grow, or they grow too fast, and they kind of forget where they came from. And it's the little things that get disrupted, which kind of affect your staff as well. So although I'm going to be a manager, I'm not too good to clean the table. I'm not too good to fold towels. I'm not too good to do the laundry. So these are like the little things that you can continue to do that shows that, yeah, although you're growing, you're still doing the necessities, the bare necessities that are required to help things continue to move. And when staff see that, they're like, oh, wow, well, Craig is still doing this. Craig is doing that kind of thing. And that's what I kind of try to continue to do. I think it's very important for staff to see their supervisors still working and not forgetting the basics and not just trying to dictate or delegate and give them just to do, like to give them a to-do list. You have to be able to participate as well in order to have something successful. And my ultimate goal is to maintain the patient satisfaction and make sure the clinic is run in a smooth and efficient way. And those are the kind of things that I've definitely learned. And there's many things along the line that I picked up from everybody, including yourself. You yourself have definitely inspired me, Sean, from the time we've worked together at Georgetown for that year and a half prior to my promotion into the associate director role. And you were the first person I even confided in and asked about their like blessing if I should go ahead and do this. And you were like, you should do this. You need to continue to grow. And those are kind of things that, you know, you never forget. You never forget the people that helped you along the way, pushed you in order to become what you are today. So what could have turned, like you said earlier when you led the show, what could have turned into a stumbling block turned into a stepping stone for me by just talking to other people and wondering if I was really ready for these and just receiving that necessary push in order to make it to where I am today.
Wow. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, even I tried. That is poetry, and it's true because I really do agree with you in all that you just said. First of all, thank you for the kind words, but also because we had a chance to work together for that year and a half or so, watching people like Rich Bodian, right, who is a pillar of Jag-One right now still, and was the leader of our company in our office at that time, watching him and how he operated. You would have never even thought that he was the owner at that time, director at that time, everything at that time, because he was doing all the unmentionables, right? He was seeing patients, cleaning tables, he was everywhere. Almost like he was trying to like improve to everyone that he could do this thing or impress everyone, but no, he was just doing everything. And when your leader is doing that, right, whether it's physical therapy or whatever else, when he's doing that or she's doing that, it should inspire others to say, you know what, if they're doing it, then I got to make sure I'm at least doing that, if not more. And I've taken that same sentiment you have as well. I think that's why we connect so well together. And I agree with you that empathy is that real thing that's the game changer. That's the thing that can really set aside your office or you as a clinician from anybody else. I mean, Jag-One is one place, right? And we're one of the biggest places in Northeast and we're fantastic. But what sets us aside from a different place or a different clinic or a different thing? It has to be what we're giving to the patients. And it's that empathy, it's that consideration, it's that kindness, it's that professionalism, it's those things that keep people coming back. And you have the same thing as me. People, when they see you, say, I'm going to see Craig. I'm going to only see Craig because they know that Craig has done whatever he had to do for that one person. And now that one person goes and tells their mom, their aunt, their cousin, their sister, their babysitter, whoever else. And then they all come and say, oh, you saw my whoever back in the day. Or they come back 9 years later and say, oh, do you remember me? You saw me 9 years ago and I'm back. And that's the kind of stuff where I think as clinicians, as directors, and I'm sure you do this as well. You can just expound on this when I'm finished talking about it. But I think that that's the hard thing to inspire others to do because it's ingrained in you. It's ingrained in me. It's ingrained in Rich and Anthony and all the other guys who we saw and John clearly, right? All these people who know what we need to do to get people into the doors and to really give them the full showcase of what PT is. But for some, they lack that, right? For some of our new grads, they lack that. For some people who think it's just a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 3 or a 1:30 to 8, you know, they lack that. And it's not something that can be taught. I do believe it's something that is within you because empathy is something that is a part of who we are. So, you know, Craig, I'm curious now that as you continue to grow and we will continue to grow in this company, there are other people who now are looking at Jag-One and our office in South Brooklyn and looking at culture, right? Looking at the way that we do things and the way that we gel as clinicians and as staff. And, you know, we've done so many things together, you and I collectively, when it comes to lip battles and all kinds of fun things in the community. And that really brings culture together. But I'm curious now that you have been treating for such a long time and you have some experience now, what advice would you give to fellow colleagues, new grads, or offices that are struggling in terms of keeping their visits up when it comes to PT culture and the importance of a patient-first mindset when it comes to running a successful office, successful area, and a successful company?
Yeah. So those are really, really good questions that you ask. And you know, I know you and I we've been in similar positions throughout our careers with as men both being in leadership positions. And really the biggest thing is the ability to interact with the patient. You are interacting with a human. They have human emotions. People enter your facility in pain. So what really kind of drives me is to make sure that this person that is seeking my assistance, who is in pain, is well taken care of. And it may sound cliche, and we always say it all the time. You treat everyone like you would treat your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your father, etc. So that's the type of mindset that everyone needs to have. And everything starts at the front, front line of defense. The young ladies and men that may be at the front desk taking in our patients, calling them on the phone, scheduling their appointments, verifying them, et cetera, et cetera. The greetings from there are most important. So that's their first interaction. We all know first impression is key. Outside of that, the biggest thing is from a clinical standpoint, it's to be able to understand your patient. Listen first and then answer. Don't just feel like you know what they're going through, because you don't necessarily know what they're going through. And what you mentioned earlier is also key: bedside manner and empathy. I also believe that those are inherent behaviors that cannot be taught. It's either you have it or you don't. And another thing that you mentioned was in terms of like PT visits. How do you help maintain that? A lot of physical therapy, although physical is in the word, is actually the least of what you need to do. We all know that as a clinician, you graduated from school. You either have a bachelor's, depending on when you graduated, a bachelor's or a master's, or a doctorate like ourselves. However, if you cannot connect with that patient, you cannot feel, if that patient cannot be felt as if they are being taken care of, they are being shown interest and a genuine interest in getting them better, they will not return. You could be the best clinician in the world, but if you cannot connect in human form to your patient, you will never be successful. And that's the biggest thing for me, is creating and maintaining connections with patients. Because I like to watch them improve. I like to see how they come in and they tell me, oh my God, I went on vacation and I was able to walk the entire vacation. And I hadn't been on a vacation in 2 years because I had this, and this injury. Those are the type of things that continue to drive me, to know that you made a difference in somebody's life, that you were able to assist them in getting back the life they love, as we always say here at Jag-One. And those are the big keys for me. And I truly believe a lot of physical therapy is psychosocial, in terms of creating that environment that makes the patient feel comfortable, talking to them, making sure they not only understand the exercises, but understanding them as humans. How'd your day go? Oh, you spent time with your grandkids. How was that? How old are they? Those little things go a lot further than most new grads would consider. So you don't want to get stuck in this mentality of just treat, or I'm just here to give you exercises, I'm the medical professional kind of thing. That's not the type of field physical therapy is. It is a multi-dimensional field. It is a multi-dimensional field where you need to be able to put together multiple aspects of different areas in order to create a comprehensive care plan for somebody, which in turn will help you to have a successful clinic. And this is what I try to teach a lot of new grads: be involved in the care of your patients and make sure that you're showing them a genuine interest and that you are trying to reach their goals. It's not what goal you want to reach, it's what they're trying to reach, such as dancing at their child's wedding or something of that nature, or a return to sport. Their goals should always be your goals. And once you can meet that, that's how you will end up retaining more patients, as well as improving your clinic's ability to succeed.
Yeah, well said, sir. I agree with everything you said just now. And I think it's poignant the way you explained it in terms of the things that can be taught and the things that are inherent. I think that you're spot on when it comes to talking about how important it is that therapists have that connection and open up that space for safety and respect and for trust. And you also mentioned at the beginning of your statement about the front, right? We call them PCCs or patient care coordinators at Jag-One, but every job, whether it's marshals or Jag-One, has somebody to greet at the front, has somebody who you see as the first person, right? The first line of defense, the greeter, what have you. And it's those people as well, like you're mentioning, that make a difference. So I'm curious, as your area coordinator, you've seen so many offices and you've seen the cultures that it can be different, right? In our areas, Georgetown and Marine Park and Sarah City, and they're all different in terms of culture, right? And in any other job, it could be the same thing in terms of culture. The music can be different, the vibe can be different, the patients are different, right? The clientele, all those different things. I'm curious if there were any words you wanted to share in terms of, we talked about the clinicians, but like I said before, it's the entire experience, right? From the first person they see, the PCC or the front office person, to the aides who help escort people in and out, and with their exercises, and the clinicians. How important is patient care, quality of care, and the culture in terms of those three entities working together to make sure that the patient experience is always going to be a good one? And I'm just saying it because, like any other place you go to, whether it's Marshall's or the movie theater, there's an experience, right? Like there are ratings, and you can rate, 5 stars or 3 stars, even to your Uber ride, right? We talk about, was it a nice ride? Was it friendly? Did the car smell nice? All those things. And as therapists, we also get rated on those things. And not saying that it is indicative of, anything that happens financial for us, but, reputation is a big deal. The way that a clinic is seen in the community is also a big deal. And sometimes our biggest critics and our biggest celebrators can be the people that we're working with, our patients. We don't have, there's Yelp, but those people are people who we work with. So how important is the culture and setting a good tone for the entire entity, from front to clinicians to aides? How important are those three teams working together in terms of the success of an office in any region?
So yeah, culture is by far probably one of the biggest things, culture and morale. So you need to develop the appropriate culture to get everybody on the same page. Once you get everybody on the same page, now you got to maintain morale. And those are the two biggest things in order to help continue to run things successfully from front to back. And developing culture can be difficult sometimes, depending on the presence and the change that may be occurring with it. For example, I've changed locations multiple times and things of that nature. So you step into a different box per se, but it doesn't mean that you can't improve it. Usually people they're so used to just doing things one way, and it's about teaching them how to do things in different ways in order to achieve the same results, but in a more efficient manner. And once you can develop the culture in that aspect, for everyone to be on the same page from front to back, from small things such as paperwork to scheduling, once those start to fill and mesh together, you're already on a great track. From that point, it then turns into, how do we keep morale? Especially when you run busy offices and things of that nature. So that's where things like going out and doing events with the office help, or small things such as even buying lunch for the staff, just so everybody knows they're appreciated, or even just saying, I appreciate you and what you're doing. So many times, bad culture can be set by not providing positive feedback. We're so used to just hearing things that don't go right, that you forget that many things are also going right. So you need to make sure that you also let those people know that are doing right, that they are doing right, that they did a great job, that they were improving in what they were doing, etc. And to me, that's really the biggest things when it comes to culture and morale. And you don't want to get stuck. And that's the same thing. And even if you look at, like, if you were to go somewhere and leave a review, you're more inclined to leave a review if you only had a negative experience. Because if you had a positive experience, such as if you go to a restaurant and you see 7 other people around you and they all look like they're having a great time, you're like, well, they're having a great time. They're having a great time. They're having a great time. They know their place is great. I don't got to write anything. But if you have something that goes wrong, you run right to it. Like, man, that was a terrible experience. Never go to this place again, et cetera, et cetera. And that tends to be the general consensus just from just as people in the world, especially with social media and things of that nature, that we just forget to tell people positivity and things that they did well. We're just so inclined to tell them what they did wrong that it gets lost. So that's why culture and morale, this is where all of this comes into play to help maintain it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny, I've never left a review for anything in my entire life. I don't think, I mean, I've done like if you get something on your phone, you write something real
Yeah.
quick or whatever. But my wife is very quick to write reviews that are always bad when, if we get an Uber or something, the food is not good or the food is cold or whatever else. He's quick to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna write a review. I'm like, why are you putting a review up? 'Cause I want them to know how I feel because this is unacceptable. And it's true, you're right. People only write reviews really when things are not going well. So like you're saying, it's so important to make sure that everyone knows what's happening from the front to the back because all those things are indicative of how well we or your other job or wherever will be perceived in the community. So well said, sir. Well said, sir. And I gotta say, you are one who I look up to as well. I feel like your presence everywhere you've gone, because I've seen you now in multiple locations and multiple environments, and you change culture wherever you are, whether you're talking about Stair City or Marine Park, wherever you are located, wherever you are, the culture always shifts. And that's always a good sign of a good leader. I've seen many clinicians in my 10 years being here at JAG come through the doors, and you would think that they were the ones who were the supervisors or the directors because they come in and they demand respect, they demand attention, they come in with big chests and lots of words. And patients even say, is that the boss? And I said, no, no, just another staff there is walking around. But it's those kind of things where, people recognize certain people who are doing things for show and people who are doing things because they genuinely like what they're doing and are doing it well. And you are someone, my friend, who has done that well from the beginning of time. So, I appreciate you. And I'm curious now that as we are in this continual growth, you and I, and many of us who are in the same group, David Bones, who is a good friend of ours as well, also a downstate grad, right? You mentioned in your bio that serving your community is a big thing. And you serve the community, I do the same. We like doing that, right? It's just kind of a part of who we are. But many clinicians, when it comes to the healthcare field, whether it's PT or even outside of that, they see that their job by itself is giving back. They see that their job is that community service. So they feel like, well, I'm gonna give back 9 to 5. That should be enough. I'm helping people enough throughout my regular day. I don't need to do anything else more besides that. So I'm curious, why do you feel so invested in giving back to the community beyond the hours of 7 to 3 or 1 to 8? Because many of our colleagues in the PT field and outside do believe that their contribution, their skill set, their knowledge base, what they do during their paid hours is sufficient enough to say, you know what, I give back to my community. Let me use my time now for personal time, quality time, whatever else. What inspires you to give back to your community so much?
First and foremost, thank you for the kind words. I do appreciate that, hearing that from you, because you are definitely someone I've looked up to since I've come to the company. Two, I'm going to go ahead and also throw that shout out back to David Bones, Dr. Bones, our good friend and downstate alum. And now to the question at hand. So one of the big things for me is, as you mentioned when you read the bio, I grew up in Canarsie. So I was always, out hanging out, playing basketball, doing things with my friends and things of that nature. Back then, Canarsie wasn't really known about too much when I was growing up versus how it is now. But just like growing up and just doing things like small things like playing basketball, we didn't have any nets on there, it's just rims. There was one court that was sloped, so when you either ran uphill one way or downhill the other way when you were playing on the concrete. So just like things like that, and just it made me realize, like, man, I'd like to do whatever I can to give back. And I am grateful for the opportunity at Jag-One because they do help in the community as well. they're big on community as well. So that also helps when you're big on the community. And that's one of the things I truly love. And, what inspires me to stay invested in the community is really just my upbringing within the community, to stay involved, to be able to do things there. I have a lot of friends that still live in the Canarsie area. They'll call me up, Craig, my grandma did X, Y, and Z. You think you could see him? My mom hurt their knee. You think you could take them in one of your offices? Can you see him? And, just to have the trust of the community is such a big thing. So if the community entrusts me in order to take care of them, which is another reason why I like being in the area, because I do feel that although I'm getting paid for it, don't get me wrong, that I'm giving back to the community through work in that sense. Now, the extracurricular work that you were discussing, that you frequently participate in, and that I am participating in as well, is just, it's for just the love of everything around me. I love where I grew up. I want to make sure I see the youth in that area succeed. I want to make sure that we can help and guide the future. I love working with the youth when it comes to the community, in order to provide them with resources or access to different careers, etc., options that they may have. I've done career days for junior high school just to be able to present the PT profession, because not a lot of people know about PT when it comes to that sense. For some, PT stands for just personal training and not just physical therapy, because the abbreviations are just used everywhere. So those are the kind of things I like to shed light on. I love working with I just recently started working with the Brooklyn Renegades. I did a stretching session for them that helped, taught the players different muscle groups to stretch, but more dynamic stretches in order for them to prepare for the sports specific stretches for the muscle groups that they will specifically use. And, things like that are of high importance. And that's really why I kind of do what I do when it comes to giving back to the community. And it's kind of been like this a lot, even since I was younger. I just like to do for others and to be able to see them succeed, and to be able to see that they have a mentor in a sense. I participated in Big Brother mentorship programs when I was younger as well. And it's just the ability to help others and get them to succeed in and out of the clinic. And that's really why I try to stay invested in the community and keep my presence present.
I love it. And I do it for the same reasons. I mean, it's really a labor of love, but it's real. And, part of the reason why we do it is because you want to give back. People gave back to you. They fed into you. They gave you all kinds of love and adoration and time and chances and opportunities. So why not give back? And again, it's because you're from Canarsie, right? Must be a really invigorating feeling to recognize that you're now a pillar in your community. You're now someone that people are looking at, and have been, but people are looking at and saying, yo, let me contact Dr. Craig, right? And just ask him about my mom, my daughter, my uncle, my aunt, whoever else, or to see your legacy now being happening in this community. And as your kids are going to grow up and watch you do this also in this community, it's just fun. It's just fun. But I think a lot of people as clinicians, and I wish a lot of our clinicians also would just get more into it, because I do believe it is rewarding, and it makes you appreciate the gift that we have to treat our community every single day. It really is a gift, right? To go out here and have people trust us to say, look, my arm doesn't work, or it's not working really well. Can you help me? And they trust us to do sometimes whatever we say. We say, do this, and they just do it. It's amazing the amount of trust that comes from that. So I salute you, because again, that is something that can't always be taught, right? That giving back, community servicing is something that people just have really within them, and you have within you. So I appreciate you for that. And the more important question I have for you now, which is a tough one, is that you have your 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, you have the community work, you have family now, you have a son, right? You have Jax, you have a daughter on the way. And the balance that sometimes is tough, especially when you talk about higher levels in terms of being above a staff position, right? You're talking about directors and area directors, and even our regional directors and senior regional directors. And those people, it's a lot. In a time where we've been coming out of COVID-19 and you've been through that with me, so you know how that felt. And now that we're still moving and grooving and continuing to grow and expand, workloads are increasing and we're getting back to being in a busy kind of an environment and a busy kind of a session. How do you balance family, work, community, watching Nick games, all these things? How do you balance your busy schedule to make sure that, there's no burnout? Because I know a lot of the newer therapists and the next generation of PTs has already explained to me that, there's certain things that they don't want to do. There's certain priorities that they have where it comes to they'd rather work less and make less than to work more and make more money. For them, quality of life is just different. And even in talking to some of our aides, their perception of work and life is very different than you and I, right? It's very much like I want to just feel happy and feel good, right? The concept of working overtime and doing all that kind of stuff is not really a priority for them. They'd rather be able to chill and vibe and do whatever else, Lyme or whatever else. So it's a different perspective. But when it comes to our population generation, we're workaholics. We want to work, grind, do everything. So how do you balance those things? Or how do you try to balance those things on a regular basis?
Yeah, try is definitely the better word to utilize in this case. I do myself, if I'm being completely honest, I struggle sometimes with the work-life balance. If you ask my wife, she'll say it's all the time I struggle with the work-life balance. So what I really try to do is, especially being someone in leadership, it's hard because I feel like my job doesn't stop, right? Because even though we're not working on Saturday, we have clinics that are open on Saturday. And if someone needs our assistance and the facility is still running, you're going to get a phone call, and you can't deny the phone call because that's your clinic at the end of the day. So whether you're out somewhere or anything, you got to take that call to make sure everything is okay. So that's really the tough part for me, is to be able to do all the reports, the documentation, making sure everything is set for the following week. So what I normally try to do is, if I can, is I'll wake up a little bit earlier, knock some stuff out. When the family wakes up, stop, work with the family, do things with the family. And when they go back to sleep, I do what I have to do again. And is it probably, do I really want to do it that way? No. Do I prefer to get everything done during the week and not have to worry about it over the weekend? Yes, but it's not feasible for me. So it's just trying to find the appropriate times to do everything. I do feel that in the next year coming, with 2023 on the horizon, that things will become better, as I will be expanding into a new role, which in turn will allow me to work and see less patients a week, because I'll only be working 3 days a week instead of working and seeing patients 5 days a week, which is critical, because then I won't feel like I have to take as much work home, because a lot of the stuff I do at home is either administrative for the following week, etc. But now I'll have time during the week to get all of those done. So just to be able to have administrative time as a leader, I think is critical to job functionality, because it allows you to create a better balance for other things as well. So try is definitely the best word. And I definitely try day in and day out, because family is important as well. And I know my time is going to become a little bit more limited with the new baby coming. So just time management is really what it boils down to. You have to be a really good time manager in order to be able to succeed at the position that we are in, that we're both in at this time. And, I always look at kind of like what you do, and I've spoke to you multiple times about it to get ideas. I just don't have the wherewithal to do it as consistently as you do, with the getting up early and going to bed late and still being able to function at full capacity. So, but I'm definitely continuing to try to improve. But those are the type of things that I'm looking forward to in order to continue to improve and help me grow in my new role, and to be a continued leader for everybody around me.
Yeah, and I salute you on that as well. I do think that leadership roles need that, right? There needs to be, I was listening to the news actually today, and they were talking about how most jobs are looking towards, and most new employees are really excited about any opportunity to have a 4-day work week, right? A 4-day work week where they're able to do all the work they have to do, whether that means more work in 4 days or what have you, but just having that extra day, that fifth day, to catch up, to go over things, to do whatever we have to do. I mean, emails by themselves can take a day just kind of go through them. But most companies are looking at this 4-day work week, especially with those who are in leadership, as a way to make sure that it can help their staff be more productive, to feel less stress in the environment, to be able to be better for their staff, right? And to give more time for them to connect with their staff on ways that a 5-day work week is just kind of hard to do. You're talking about after hours, you're talking between shifts. It's just it gets difficult. So a number of companies are going towards that model, and I hope that Jag also looks at that maybe in the future for at least clinical directors or people in that leadership position. But I do think trying to find that balance is tough. And I've said on the show before, my schedule for life is insane, but it works for me. I wake up early and no one's awake, so I get a lot of stuff done. And as of late, I've been going to bed early with my daughter. She goes to bed around 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I'm pretty much in bed by 9 every night. But again, I'm up at 4 because it's quiet and I need to go for my runs or get my notes done, whatever else. And that works for me. But everyone's different. And I think, like you said, finding that work balance is key just so we can be productive and successful and to be more in all ways that we can. So, Craig, you are someone who has been doing it and you find your way to do it, and that's been great. And I've invited you on the show because Be More Today is my baby. It's so many things and so many people. I've asked everyone on the show when they come on here what that phrase means to them. So, sir, it is now your turn. When you hear the phrase Be More Today, what does that phrase mean to you?
So I can't be I'm an ordinary person
doing extraordinary things. Yes, you are.
But without just copying what you're saying, Be More Today, it means a lot to me. It's about it's one, being yourself, and while being yourself, being the best version of yourself. And when it comes to being a leader in a facility, being a leader, because being a leader and being a manager are two different things, in my opinion. I'm not just here to delegate. I'm not just here to tell you what to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it effectively. I'm going to do it efficiently. And I'm going to teach you the ways on how we can do this together. And to me, it's all about not only being the best version of yourself, but getting others to be the best version of their selves in order to help them grow, in order to help them achieve goals, and being a mentor to other people as well. So not only am I being more for myself, I want to be more for the community, the people around me, my family, the staff around me. And I want to put everyone that I can cross paths with in a better position to succeed at whatever they want to succeed at, whether they choose to depart from here working with us or anything in life. If they feel that it is better for them, it is not my job to determine what is better for them. It is my job to support them and help them achieve what they want to achieve. And that's how I always look at it. And that's what I try to utilize when I hear Be More Today.
Well said, sir. Well said, sir. I appreciate you so much. Listen, what's next on the agenda for Craig? What's going on for the rest of this year? I know you got a baby on the way. Anything else you can share with us?
What's next? I don't really know what's next outside of this baby on the way. That's all I can think about. I'm not ready to go back to sleepless nights, but I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm just trying to prep myself. I am very, very excited, though, for the baby. I'm very, very excited to go into 2023 to start my new role. I'm very, very excited for the New York Knicks season coming up. But as of right now, I'm just really laser focused on family life with the new baby and just trying to continue to grow within the company. From my 8 years here, I've spent all 8 of my physical therapy years here in Jag-One. And, I continue to look forward to growth. I've seen various, I've been blessed to see various promotions in just a short time span. Some people are lucky enough to get one promotion their whole career, and I'm staring down number 3 in 8 years. So to me, I'm very blessed. I'm in a position to continue to provide alongside with my wife for our family. So that's just really what's next for me. I just want to focus on my new role that I'll be having, and we'll take it from there. Hopefully there's more to come, because I don't plan to be done. I'm still pretty young, but 8 years in the game makes you feel a little bit older than when you first started seeing all these new grads come in.
Facts. Well, I'm proud of you, Brody. I appreciate you so much. And last question, ESPN has predicted the Knicks are going to be 39-43 this year. 39-43. You say over or under?
Over. We're going to finish above 500 this year. Right. I don't know if we're going to make the playoffs. Well, finishing above 500 in the East, you're going to make the playoffs. Okay. I don't know how far we're going to go in the playoffs is another story.
Right.
I'm definitely looking forward to going to some games this year.
All right.
Definitely looking forward to going to some
I'm
games.
looking forward to it too. Hopefully the Knicks pull it out this year and do a little something for us. That'd be great. But Craig Mack, I appreciate you so much for being on the show. You've made this one for the books, and no other friend of mine to be on the show for this month, appreciating what we do than you. I really appreciate your work, your hard work, your ethic, your family, everything you've been doing. It has been great to watch. And I love seeing the growth. So I'm proud of you, my brother, and thank you for being a part of the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It is definitely an honor to be on a show like this and of this caliber. I've watched you grow so much, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity. And as we conclude, I just want to take the time out to say thank you to my wife, Keisha, my son, Jackson, and the baby on the way. They are truly a major inspiration in my life, and why I try to be more today to make sure that I put my family in a better position to succeed. So shout out to my Menezes clan. I love you guys, and I do it for you.
Awesome. And folks, you heard the man, right? He talked about so many things today, talking about the growth, the process, the injuries, right? All the stepping stones that were stumbling blocks for many. He used them as stones to get to where he is now, in 3 promotions in 8 years. The growth that he's been doing here in South Brooklyn, the way he continues to give back and find ways to find time to give back, and the ethic that comes from just making sure that he's giving quality care to his patients and inspiring a good culture across South Brooklyn, across our company. All those things are good points for us to take home and seeds for us to be able to plant for this week. So whatever your thing is, whatever you've been going through, whatever roadblocks you've seen, think about the stepping stones, not the stumbling blocks. It's the same obstacle, but step forward and use Craig's story and his enthusiasm and his mission to go out there and inspire you this week to be better, to be more today. As I always say, folks, thank you for watching us on this show. Follow me on BeMoreToday.com for my book, our swag store, our more and more stores open with more things for you. And of course, our podcast is everywhere, including on YouTube as well. So check out the show, continue to like us, subscribe. And if you want to send me questions or Dr. Craig Mack as well, email me directly at drshawn@BeMoreToday.com or on any of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. As I always say, folks, have a good day, have a good night, have a great life, and continue to take your steps to bring it to be the best version of you. We will see you next week. Peace.